It's late at night, the house is quiet, the lights are off, and your dog had every opportunity to sleep somewhere else. There's a bed, a couch, even a quiet corner in another room. But instead, they walk in, pause for a moment, circle once or twice, and settle right next to you, sometimes pressed against your legs, sometimes stretched across your chest, sometimes taking up more space than you thought possible. At first, it seems simple. They like being close. They like being warm. They like you. But that explanation barely scratches the surface. Because what your dog is doing in that moment isn't random. It's a choice. And it's one of the clearest signals of trust they can give. Dogs don't think about safety the way humans do. They don't lock doors or check windows or analyze risk. Their sense of safety comes down to one thing: presence. Where they choose to rest is where they feel safest, and sleep is the moment when that choice matters most. Because when your dog falls asleep, they give up control. Their awareness fades, their reactions slow down, and their guard drops completely. Every instinct inside them is designed to avoid that kind of vulnerability, and yet, instead of hiding somewhere quiet, they choose to sleep right next to you, and that tells you everything. To your dog, you are not just familiar, you are safe. But this goes deeper than instinct, because over time, your dog doesn't just recognize your presence, they begin to depend on it. Have you ever noticed how your dog reacts when you leave the room, even for a few seconds? They get up, they follow, they check where you are. It's not curiosity, it's connection. Dogs are wired to stay close to the one they trust most, and that connection becomes strongest during quiet moments, especially at night. At night, the world becomes still. There are fewer distractions, no movement, no noise, just you and your dog. And in that stillness, your dog makes a decision to stay close, not because they have to, but because it feels right. Even the way they prepare to sleep tells a story. They don't just lie down instantly. They circle, they adjust, they reposition themselves, sometimes multiple times. In the wild, this behavior helps them create a safe resting spot, but in your home, it becomes something else. They're not checking the environment, they're checking you. They're finding the exact position where your presence feels strongest, close enough to feel your movement, close enough to hear your breathing, close enough to relax completely. And once they find that spot, they settle, and their entire body softens. That's not just comfort, that's trust. Over time, something even more fascinating happens. Your dog doesn't just stay close to you physically, they begin to align with you emotionally. On days when you feel calm, your dog seems calm. On days when you're stressed, your dog becomes more alert, more attentive, more attached. Because dogs are incredibly sensitive to emotional changes. They don't need words to understand how you feel. They read your posture, your movements, your tone, even your energy, and slowly your emotional states begin to sync. So when your dog sleeps beside you, it's not just about proximity, it's about connection, a shared sense of calm, and a quiet, unspoken communication that continues even while you're asleep. Then there's routine. Dogs don't just live with you, they adapt to you. They learn your schedule, your habits, your patterns. When you go to bed at a certain time, they begin to expect it. When you turn off the lights, they know what comes next. And eventually, their entire routine begins to revolve around yours. So sleeping beside you becomes more than a habit. It becomes part of their daily rhythm, something predictable, something stable. And for a dog, predictability means safety. But sometimes the smallest changes tell the biggest stories. If your dog has always slept beside you and one day they stop, that's not something to ignore. Dogs are creatures of habit, and when a behavior is repeated every night, it becomes part of who they are. So when it suddenly changes, there's always a reason. Sometimes it's environmental, a new person, a new pet, or a change in routine. But sometimes it's physical. Dogs don't always show pain in obvious ways. They don't complain or explain. Instead, they change their behavior. A dog that suddenly stops jumping onto the bed might not have lost interest. They might be uncomfortable. A dog that chooses the floor instead of your side might not be independent. They might be trying to cope with something you can't see yet. And in older dogs, changes in sleep patterns can be one of the earliest signs of cognitive decline. Subtle at first, easy to overlook, but important, because behavior is their language, and every change means something. So the next time your dog walks over in the middle of the night, circles, and settles beside you, remember, this isn't random. Out of every place in the house, they chose you. Not the couch, not the floor,
not the quiet corner of the room. You. Because to your dog, you are safety. You are comfort. You are consistency. You are home. And maybe that's what makes the bond between humans and dogs so powerful. It doesn't rely on words. It doesn't need explanation. It's built through presence, through routine, through trust, and sometimes through something as simple as sharing the same space while the world is asleep. So the next time you wake up with barely any room left on the bed, instead of getting annoyed, pause for a moment and remember what it really means. Your dog didn't end up there by accident. They chose you. And in their world, that choice means everything. If this made you see your dog differently, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments where your dog sleeps tonight, because the answer might reveal more than you ever realized.